You live in 3 times at once, the hidden script behind your life. There's a version of you that already knows how this ends. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, actually. Right now, as you absorb these words, 3 timelines converge inside your nervous system. One is a recording, your past, already written, unchangeable, a fossil of decisions compressed into memory. Another is a projection, your future, flickering in potentiality, every possibility vibrating like strings waiting to be plucked. And the third is the razor's edge where both collapse. This moment, where the ghost of what was and the phantom of what could be wrestle for dominance over what is. You think you live linearly. You think time flows like a river, carrying you from birth toward death, 1 second after another, clean and simple. But that's a narrative your brain tells you to keep you sane. The truth is darker, stranger, more layered. You're not moving through time, you're collapsing it. Every choice you make doesn't create the future. It selects one from an infinite field of futures that already exist, encoded in the fabric of reality itself, waiting for you to reach out and pull it into form. This isn't poetry. This is physics. This is neuroscience. This is theology compressed into lived experience. The ancient text whispers, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Jeremiah 1:5. Not "I will know you," not "I might know you." I knew you. Past tense. As if your entire existence, from breath to burial, was already visible, already real, already written in a dimension beyond time. The quantum physicist looks at the same mystery through a different lens and sees the same architecture. The observer effect, where reality exists in superposition, all possibilities occurring simultaneously until the moment of measurement, the moment of choice, when one probability crystallizes and the others dissolve into shadow. You are that observer. You are the one collapsing infinite potential into singular actuality, moment by moment, breath by breath, decision by decision. Your past isn't behind you, it's inside you, encoded in your cells, written into your neural pathways, embedded in the way your body flinches before your mind remembers why. Trauma lives in tissue. Joy lives in chemistry. Every experience you've ever had has physically restructured your brain, carved new rivers through gray matter, built bridges and burned others. This isn't memory as storage. This is memory as architecture. You are a walking monument to everything that has ever happened to you. But here's what they don't tell you. The future is also inside you. Not as fate, not as destiny, as potential field, as probability cloud, as quantum foam bubbling with every version of tomorrow, each one real, each one waiting, each one tugging at your present with gravitational whispers. Your brain doesn't just remember the past, it simulates the future, constantly, unconsciously. It runs millions of micro-predictions per second, wargaming scenarios, calculating risk, modeling outcomes. When you walk into a room, your brain has already predicted where the furniture is. When you reach for a glass, your hand moves before your eyes confirm the distance. You live a half second ahead of yourself, inhabiting a future that hasn't arrived yet, trusting projections more than perception. And sometimes, the simulation is so vivid, so detailed, that it becomes indistinguishable from reality. Déjà vu isn't a glitch. It's your predictive engine getting so accurate that it feels like memory. Intuition isn't mystical. It's pattern recognition operating faster than conscious thought, pulling data from futures you've already modeled and pasts you've already lived. The mystics knew this. They called it different names, built different frameworks, but they were mapping the same territory. The Kabbalists spoke of four worlds, layered reality stacked inside each other, where the future already exists in higher dimensions and trickles down into manifestation. The Buddhists spoke of dependent origination, where every moment contains all moments, where cause and effect blur into simultaneity. The Christian mystics spoke of kairos, God's time, the eternal now, where past and future collapse into presence, where the Alpha and Omega stand in the same room and time bends into circle instead of line. They weren't wrong. They just didn't have fMRI machines. Because now we can see it. We can watch the brain light up in anticipation before the stimulus arrives. We can measure the delay between decision and awareness, the gap where your body moves before your consciousness catches up. Benjamin Libet's experiments in the 1980s shattered the illusion of free will by showing that the brain initiates action 350 milliseconds before you become aware of choosing. You think you decided, but the decision was already unfolding in neural tissue, already set in motion, already collapsing from potential into kinetic. Does that mean you're a puppet? Does that mean choice is illusion? No. It means choice operates on a level deeper than conscious thought. It means the you that chooses is older, wider, more distributed than the you that narrates. It means free will isn't freedom from causation, it's freedom within structure, the ability to navigate constraint, to select from the field of possible rather than conjure the impossible. Let's go deeper. Your DNA is a time capsule. 4 billion years of evolutionary memory compressed into a double helix, coiled tight inside every cell. You carry the ocean in your blood, the same salt concentration as the primordial sea where life first sparked. You carry the sun in your mitochondria, ancient bacteria that fused with your ancestor cells and still burn oxygen into energy. You carry death in your telomeres, biological clocks that shorten with every division, counting down toward dissolution. You are not separate from the past. You are its latest iteration. You are the cutting edge of a story that began when hydrogen collapsed into stars, when stars exploded into heavy elements, when planets coalesced and chemistry stumbled into replication. Every atom in your body was forged in a supernova. Every breath you take was once inside a dinosaur, a tree, an ancient ocean, a stranger's lung. You are recycled stardust, animated by electricity, aware of itself. And the future? The future is already being written into you, not as fate, but as trajectory. The choices you make today are sculpting the brain that will make tomorrow's choices. The habits you build are creating neural grooves that will feel like instinct later. The stories you tell yourself are becoming the lens through which reality filters. You're not just living in the present, you're programming the person who will inherit this moment when it becomes past. But there's a third layer, deeper still. Quantum mechanics reveals something unsettling. Particles exist in superposition until observed. An electron doesn't have a position until you measure it. Before measurement, it's not that we don't know where it is. It's that it's everywhere it could be, simultaneously. The act of observation collapses the wave function, forces reality to choose. Now apply that to your life. Before you make a decision, all possible futures exist in superposition. The version where you say yes and the version where you say no are both real, both unfolding, both vibrating in the field of potential. The moment you choose, you collapse the wave. You murder infinite possibilities to birth one actuality. Every decision is a small death and a small creation happening simultaneously.
The Bible says God knows you before you're formed. Quantum physics says all futures exist until you collapse them. Maybe they're describing the same thing in different languages. Maybe omniscience isn't seeing what will happen. It's seeing all the things that could happen, holding every timeline in perfect simultaneity, watching you navigate the labyrinth of your own becoming. You felt this, I know you have. Those moments when time goes strange, when you're in crisis and everything slows down, when a second stretches into eternity and you watch your hand move through space like it's underwater. That's not illusion. That's your brain overclocking, processing faster, squeezing more computation into less time. In moments of danger, your predictive engine goes into overdrive, simulating futures at maximum speed, trying to find the path that doesn't end in death. Or those moments when you know what someone's going to say before they say it. When you reach for your phone a second before it rings. When you walk into a place you've never been and it feels like home, like return, like memory. That's not supernatural. That's pattern recognition operating at the edge of consciousness, pulling from data sets so vast and so subtle that rational thought can't access them. You are a time machine made of meat. Your brain is a prediction engine wrapped in a memory palace, running simulations of tomorrow while replaying recordings of yesterday. And somewhere in between, in the friction of those two forces, you call it now. But here's the violence of it. You can't hold all three times at once, not consciously. The human mind isn't built for that kind of simultaneity. So we fragment, we dissociate, we live in one time and exile the others. Some people live in the past. They turn around and face backward, replaying trauma, nursing wounds, mining memory for evidence that the present is just the past in disguise. Every new relationship is the old one in a different mask. Every failure is proof that they were right to never hope.
The future becomes foreclosed, a door that closed years ago, and they walk through life like ghosts haunting their own biography. Others live in the future. They project so far ahead that the present dissolves into preparation, into anxiety, into endless rehearsal for a moment that never quite arrives. They optimize, they plan, they build contingency on top of contingency, trying to control outcomes, trying to collapse the right wave function, trying to make tomorrow safe. But the future they're chasing is always one step ahead, always just out of reach, and they die having never arrived at the destination they spent their whole life moving toward. And some, the rarest, the most dangerous, the most awake, learn to live in all three at once. They remember without being trapped. They anticipate without being paralyzed. They inhabit the present fully, knowing it's both echo and seed, knowing it contains everything that was and everything that could be, knowing that this moment, this breath, this choice is the only place where change is possible. The Bible has a word for this: watchfulness. Be alert and sober-minded, Peter writes. Not because danger is coming, because you are always standing at the intersection of three times, and the enemy of your soul wants you looking in the wrong direction. If you're trapped in the past, you can't see the future unfolding. If you're obsessed with the future, you can't act in the present. And if you're numb to both, you drift, a leaf on a current, never choosing, never collapsing, never becoming. The spiritual warfare isn't out there. It's in here. It's in the war for your attention, your awareness, your willingness to hold paradox without resolution. Neuroscience calls it metacognition, thinking about thinking, awareness of awareness, the ability to step outside the stream of consciousness and observe it without being swept away. Meditation is just practice for this. You sit. You watch thoughts arise and dissolve.
You notice how the past intrudes as memory, how the future intrudes as anxiety, how the present is a thin sliver between two floods. And slowly, with practice, you learn to widen that sliver. You learn to rest in the now without amnesia, without denial, without avoidance. You learn to hold your history without being defined by it. You learn to prepare for tomorrow without being consumed by it. You learn to live in 3 times at once. Here's the thing about potential futures. They're not equally probable. Some futures are heavy. They have momentum. They're downstream from current patterns, easy to reach, almost inevitable if nothing changes. If you eat poorly, the future where you're sick is closer than the future where you're healthy. If you lie habitually, the future where you're trusted is farther away than the future where you're alone. Other futures are light. They require energy, intention, disruption. They're upstream. They're against the current. They demand you break pattern, interrupt habit, choose differently than your wiring wants you to choose. The Apostle Paul calls this being transformed by the renewing of your mind, Romans 12:2. Not by trying harder, not by white-knuckling your way into righteousness, by changing the operating system, rewiring the prediction engine, updating the algorithms that determine which futures feel possible. This is repentance, not guilt, not shame, literally metanoia. A change of mind, a reorientation of the predictive model, a collapse of one probability field and the opening of another. And it's brutal, because your brain resists, your body resists. Every cell in you is wired for homeostasis, for sameness, for the familiar. Change feels like death because at the neural level, it is. You have to let old pathways atrophy. You have to starve old patterns. You have to grieve futures you've been rehearsing for years and won't get to live. But here's the promise hidden in the physics. The future is not fixed. It's probabilistic, and probability responds to action. Every choice you make shifts the odds. Every new habit rewrites the code. Every moment you choose differently than your history predicts, you make the upstream futures a little closer, a little heavier, a little more inevitable. You're not just choosing what to do, you're choosing who you're becoming. You're choosing which timeline gets the weight of your attention, your energy, your faith. And faith, real faith, not wishful thinking, is choosing to collapse a wave function you can't see yet. It's acting as if a future exists before it manifests. It's moving toward the invisible with the confidence that your movement makes it visible. Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Substance, evidence, not fantasy, not escapism, a reality that exists in potential and waits for you to drag it into form through the physics of choice. You live in 3 times at once. The past is real. It happened. It shaped you. It's encoded in your body, your reflexes, your fears, your joys. You can't erase it, but you can stop letting it predict you. The future is real. It exists in superposition, all possibilities vibrating, waiting. You can't control it, but you can shift the probabilities through the choices you make now. And the present, this breath, this moment, this sliver of time where you actually have agency, is the only place where the other 2 can be metabolized, integrated, transformed. You're not a victim of your past. You're not a puppet of your future. You're the observer whose choices collapse reality. So here's the question that haunts every moment. Which future are you collapsing right now? Which version of tomorrow is becoming more real because of what you're choosing today? Are you living from your wounds or your healing? From your fear or your love? From the script you inherited or the one you're writing? Every second you stand at the crossroads. Every breath, you pull one timeline closer and push another farther. The mystics were right. The physicists were right. The scriptures were right. You are the hinge between what was and what could be. You live in 3 times at once, and the universe is holding its breath, waiting to see which one you choose.